Hey, what's up guys? It's James and I'm back to bring you another After Effects tutorial. So let's go ahead and jump right in. What we're going to go over today is two things. The first being this kind of stereoscopic 3D effect, which I utilized in one of my last motion pieces. So that's kind of fun, vintagey, and you're seeing it a lot in a lot of photography around the really cool hipster blogs, or at least I am. Maybe I'm the only one who's seeing it. Second thing we're going to learn is this speeding up and slowing down using time remapping in After Effects to kind of get that 300 feel for your videos. Now, let's go ahead and jump right in, and hopefully this is recording. I see a little recording thing down there. So, open up After Effects, File, New Project, that's what we want, and we're going to go ahead and import a video to utilize. If you have your own stuff, awesome. If not, I've provided some cool stuff for us to use. So 03 MP4 is what we want, and that will be located in the downloads package, which I have below. And we're going to go ahead and drag that onto our scene to create our first composition. So here it is. We just have some shattering effect happening. And let's go ahead and do what we came here to do, which is slow this down and make it awesome. So one thing that you want to note about your composition is when you drag a movie clip in, it's going to take all of its settings from the movie clip. So that means the frame rate is going to be whatever your movie is. The length is going to be the same. And, the composition size is going to be the same. So if you want to change any of those things, you're going to come up to here, composition settings, and you're going to change that. And I don't know why we have a little one right there, but I don't like it. So if you're doing time remapping, you may want to lengthen or shorten the composition depending on what you're doing. But we're going to keep it the same because the first time I tried to make this tutorial, it turned out that I did not need to change it one bit. So composition, we're going to go ahead and select the layer, which is our only layer. We're going to go up to layer, time, and enable time remapping. We have a couple different things you can do here. Time stretch, time reverse layer, and freeze frame. All pretty much make sense, but pretty useful. Time reverse layer is what I used in my last motion piece. And we're going to go time remapping. So we see what we get here is two keyframes already. One for the start, one for the finish. And you'll see that if I start screwing around with this, well, actually you won't see anything. But let's go ahead and put this time indicator right in the center. If I start messing with this, you'll see that I'm speeding it up by compressing down the keyframes or slowing it if I spread them apart. But what we're going to do is, because we're trying to get that 300 effect, we want some fast action up front, followed by some slow motion, and then some fast action to fill it up. Finish it up. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and find an appropriate area. Right here is kind of the crux of the action, right where it explodes. So this is where I'm going to drop my first keyframe in, and I'm going to go ahead and bring this and compress it forward. So now this first area of time is going to occur much quicker, and you kind of just have to guesstimate. There's no really set way. I mean, obviously if I keyframe at 1 second and I push that all the way to 12 frames, then I cut the time in half. So I either speed it up by twice, or if I were to push it to 2 seconds, I would slow it down by half. Hopefully that makes sense. So we've sped up this first part, which means that by default this second part in the back is actually already slowed down some. We don't want to slow it down too much. So what we'll do is we'll kind of just stick an arbitrary keyframe in right here and kind of push this back like so. So now we've got fast, 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 slow, fast. And just to kind of emphasize the fastness at the end, we're going to push that last keyframe in. So slow, fast. But actually, I'm going to delete this keyframe, and I'm going to drop one in right there. Sorry guys, just thinking to myself. So there we go. And let's just put this to 2 seconds just to make it nice and even. And I just realized how loud my music is. Hopefully that's not going to annoy anyone. I'm sorry if it does, but it's just really good music, and I can't stop listening to it. So there we go. That's time remapping in a nutshell. Now, let's go over some of the basics for this. You only have a certain amount of keyframes per second, and that's based off of what you recorded at on your camera, or what you exported it out at. Now, 60 frames gives us a lot of room to play with. We're at 24 currently. So what will happen is if I start, yanking these keyframes around and spacing them out, slowing it down a ton, we'll actually get a stop motion effect because there's simply not enough keyframes in order to make the movement smooth enough. Now, there are a couple of different plugins, Twixtor being the one that I've used, and it's gaining a lot of popularity on Vimeo and other places that do a really awesome job of frame blending and other magic stuff. So they can get away, and if you have that plugin, that's what I would utilize, not time remapping. They can get away with lower frame rates and really slowing it down and making it look really great. My advice is if you don't have access to a plugin like that, if you can, record at 60 frames per second, or definitely export out at 60 frames per second. It's going to, bump your export time, your rendering time up by a lot, but it's really worth it if you end up using a slow motion effect in your final motion piece. Or I guess it could be some kind of director's piece or something like that too. Okay, so now that we've done this, sorry for my little rant, but now that we've done this, let's go ahead and actually shorten the composition. So composition settings, or apparently it's Command K if you want to do that. And 2 seconds, and now this has been shortened up, so we have a nice clean composition. Now we're going to go ahead and add that 3D stereoscopic effect. And the way we're going to do that is first I'm going to go ahead and pre-compose this, having the layer selected. It's Command-Shift-C, and we're just going to call this Shatter. You can also go up to Layer. Down at the very bottom is Pre-Compose, which is exactly what we did. So now that we have the shatter done, we're going to duplicate the layer. We're going to call this one Shatter Red. And the way to rename, simple short way, is press Enter. And then we're going to call this one Cyan. So here's where we start getting into the stereoscopic 3D portion of this. And what we're doing here is we're actually faking it. In order to really create true 3D, you need to export two cameras or record with two cameras, which are placed side by side, and the distance that they're placed side by side correlates to the distance between the human eyes. And this creates two separate perspectives, which allows you to then composite the two together and create this actual 3D in one composition. If you're lazy like me and you don't feel like exporting out two cameras, you can fake it. And the way we're going to fake it is we're going to go ahead and grab our first layer. We're going to come up here to Effect, Color Correction, and Channel Mixer. And since this is red, we're going to go ahead and drop the green down to 0, drop the blue down to 0, and now we only have the red channel of this entire composition, which is half of the battle done. We're going to go ahead and do the same to our cyan. Go Effect, Color Correction, Channel Mixer, and we're going to drop the red down to 0, and keeping the green and blue will create that cyan color. So now we have red and cyan, and we can do like some crazy strobe action. Sorry if anyone just had a seizure then. Okay, so this is only half the battle. I think I've used that already. But anyways, this is only part of it. The second part is using a blend mode to composite the two layers together. And the blend mode, they're located right here. If you don't see it, you're probably going to just need to toggle that back on. We're going to go up to the top layer, and we're going to go to Lighten. And now, lo and behold, we have what we started with, which is not very exciting at all. But it's really easy from there. You're just going to take your top layer, or it could be bottom, doesn't matter, and you're going to just offset it ever so slightly, like so. And there you go. There we have some 3D action happening, and it's awesome, of course. Now, we have this band that's appearing, and if you offset it a ton, you'll notice you can see underneath what's happening, which we don't like. My quick fix for this is, since you're already distorting the perception, or perspective, I guess would be the correct term, of this a little bit, what we're going to do is we're just going to stretch this top composition out a tiny bit, and then just kind of shimmy it sideways. And this will allow us to kind of cover our bases with any that might be sticking out on the left or right hand side. And there we go. There's our 3D stereoscopic effect, and it is good to go. So yeah, that's it, guys. It'd be really cool to see what you guys, anyone who's actually watching these tutorials, what you guys are making. So if you make anything with this tutorial or any of my other tutorials, definitely post the link down below so I can see what you guys are doing. Also, follow my Twitter if you could, so that I can update people more readily and start making more of these, because the more the people watching, the more likely I'm going to make tutorials. Yeah, so that's it. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, drop them in the messages down below, or the comments, I suppose is what they'd be called. And that's it.